joining me on another Let's Talk. I'm excited to be here today, as always, and I'm giving thanks for God's goodness, mercy, and grace. And I'm thankful that He has provided people who can I have a conversation with. And this evening, I'm excited to have with me Florence Stallings-Johnson. And she has an interesting story, a woman of courage, and I'm going to see what her story is when I come back. So you stay right there, my friends, until I come back, and I'm going to talk with Sister Flo. ORB Ministry presents Let's Talk with the Doc. Grace Without Borders podcast. A thought for you. Ask Pastor. And a whole lot more. You never know what's next or who will join the conversation. All right, so I have with me Sister Florence joining me out of upstate New York to join the conversation with the doc. Sister Flo, welcome to Let's Talk with the Doc. Good to have you.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Okay, great. So how was your day been? How was your day been? How are things going with you? What's your day like today?
Today was pretty good. I mean, I got up, I had a lot of errands to do. I had to take my car to the shop, those kinds of things. I had some furniture delivered today. So it's been a little
Oh,
busy early on, but yeah, but now it's quiet.
all right. So I'm excited to have you. I'm excited to have you with me on the program tonight, and I'm looking forward to what our conversation is going to be like. I want to thank you for joining me, and I want to thank you for your openness to part of the conversation that we'll talk about later on. So I'm
Okay.
excited to have you, and I'm looking forward to see what the conversation is going to be like when we get further into where I'm impressed with your approach to what your the turn in your life experience has been. And so, but before I get there, I'd like to get to know, because although I know you for many years, there's so many things about Flo that I don't have a clue. So you
Right.
see my wife already talking on there, right? You can see that she's already talking on there, giving her shout out, and you look lovely. So already she's jumping onto it. So people don't normally know people's story. Even good friends don't
Mhm.
know your story. You know, they see you, they meet you at certain point on the job here and there, and they meet you at your best moments. And when you after you have grown up, and sometimes because of career choices that you get to know people and they get to know you. But that's just about what they know about you on the job. But the average person don't know your journey, what your story has been like. And this
Right.
conversation, let's start with the doc, bring out some of the most intriguing stories that people are in awe of people's stories. So tell me about Flo before she was Mrs. Johnson, etc. Where were you born? What was it like? Growing up, family dynamics, school, early days of life. What was it like? Where you
Mhm.
born?
I was born in Georgia, Forsyth, Georgia, but I lived in Macon, Georgia, a lot of the majority of the time, actually until I was 6 years old. Then we came to Rochester, New York to live here. We lived in Penfield. I graduated from Penfield High School, played sports in school,
Oh,
and graduated
interesting.
in 75. From yeah, I played basketball in high school and in college.
So you
Yeah, from
really?
yes.
So you're a baller from high school? Oh, that well, I don't know. I don't know that I know that. I don't know that I even know that you're a baller. So tell me a bit about that. The early days before you get to the basketball. Born in
Okay.
Georgia, get into Rochester. What about parents, siblings? What were that like? Do you have siblings? What was it like?
Yeah, my mom and my dad. My dad left when we were young. We I can't remember the age. We were very small. He left, and we spent a lot of our time growing up with our living with our grandparents and our
Mm.
mom. I had two brothers and two sisters. I have a sister that's deceased, and I have a brother that's deceased.
I'm sorry to hear
Both
that.
at young ages. I think 42 and 39. I think
I'm sorry to hear
um,
that.
they died. But yeah, and my mom died in 2012.
Wow.
Um, yeah.
So your father left early. Your two
Mhm.
siblings died. Your mother died.
Right.
How are things now with the other siblings?
Not bad. I have a brother that's here and one that's still in Georgia. She came up here, but she chose to go back to Georgia and live, and so did the brother that died. So I have a sibling down there, and I have a brother up here in New
Okay.
York. Yeah.
Okay. Before you get to the ball, Penfield, places that we know. The transition from Georgia to Rochester.
Mm.
So my wife is saying that she remember when your sister passed away. Um, what was it like for you at a young girl age, moving from the south where it's almost always sunshine, to Rochester
Mhm.
where it is God knows what the weather could be in Rochester? What was it like for you at a tender age in the transition when you leave from there and get to Rochester?
Yeah. Yeah, that wasn't so much of a problem. It was mostly living. We lived out in Penfield on a farm, and it was mostly Caucasians. So we had only a few black students. I don't know, maybe 8 to 10, maybe in the school. So there was a lot of prejudice um,
Wow.
out, and a lot of it was geared more to family. I played sports more. I didn't really have any problems. I could see the prejudice, but I played sports. My uncle and my brother played sports, but some of the students, the African Americans, had a lot of issues out there, and so did I in different ways, different things
Mm.
happen. It was a different environment
Mhm.
for us. Yeah,
So
it was.
so 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 tell me now, how did the sports thing come about?
Well, I don't know. I've always liked sports, but I didn't play in it in Georgia. So when I came up here, I just went out for the basketball team. I tried out for the volleyball team. I played volleyball and basketball, but volleyball, that was just like a sore. When I think about it,
I
it
think
bothered me.
I
We lived on a farm, so the house wasn't that great. So the thing that happened with volleyball was that I couldn't get to practice, and our family wasn't into sports or helping us or coming to see our games and stuff like that. So I missed practice. I was one of the star players, and when I went back, she benched me because
mm,
we didn't have a phone. I mean, it was tough times. We didn't have a phone. There was no way to reach him. I didn't have any way to get to practice. She didn't ask me why I wasn't in practice, and I didn't tell her why. But she benched me for the rest. She never played me again. But I refused to quit. I stayed on the team. I wouldn't quit. But it was
oh
tough. Just stand there and
wow.
not
Oh,
playing.
how old were you at that time?
That I had to be 10th, 11th grade, I think. Yeah,
Mm, okay.
yeah.
I come to think of it, I think I remember something that you were athletic, you were in sports, because I think for church, I think there was a conversation once that you
Mhm.
wanted us to do a volleyball team or something. There was a discussion that we could create a volleyball team. I remember something like that. But I don't remember the whole detail. We never got a chance to do it, but I think it came up in the conversation at some point after we got to know you.
Right. I think it was tennis. Tennis is my main. I've been playing
Oh
tennis since I
yeah,
was
you're
20
right.
years.
You're right. You're
Yeah.
right. You're
Yeah.
right. You're right.
Yeah.
It was tennis. It was
Yeah.
tennis. It was
Yeah.
tennis. Yes, you're right. Yeah, thanks for the
That's my
correction. I know
game. That's my game.
I
I love
know
it.
there was some sport thing into it, but now I realize yes, it was
Right.
tennis indeed. It was
Yes.
tennis indeed. My friends, I'm talking to Florence. We just call her Flo,
Yeah.
from Rochester, New York. I've known her for many, many, many years, and I'm just excited to be talking to her. Unfortunately, her life took a turn a year and change ago that we're gonna talk about later on. But this is one of the
Mhm.
most beautiful people that you come across that I have known for many years. So hey, hit your
Mhm.
share button, tell your friends about it. I'm talking to Florence Flo Stallings Johnson this evening, and I'm excited to
Yes.
talk to her. All right, so tell me now about the basketball up into high school and into college. Which college do you play basketball?
So I went from high school. I played at Monroe Community College. Played basketball for 2 years there. All American. I was the team captain. I scored. I have a plaque on the wall, like 17 and a half points a game,
Oh,
7 or 8 rebounds a game. I played guard
wow.
and forward. Yeah, I could jump and I could
I, I,
sky.
I I was just gonna ask that too. I was just gonna ask if you could jump. I was just gonna ask that. So that's
I was
interesting. So
fast. I was
you were
fast.
fast.
Yeah.
I could see
Yeah.
you were fast. I could see you were a little. Okay, so did you ever dunk? Or dunk wasn't in that time. People weren't
No, I
attempting
couldn't
dunk.
dunk. If I could have dunked, I'd have gone all the way. No, I couldn't dunk, but I did a lot of other things.
You know what? I'm excited to have you, and kudos to you for your athleticism, your athleticism,
Yeah.
and your contribution to school. I'm sure that you left your mark there. All right. So
Mhm.
after school, college, basketball, at what point you said, okay, this is not where I want to go, or were you just playing? Because you like the sport, you weren't pursuing a career, or there really that much of a career opportunities back then.
Yeah, I was just playing, but I had an opportunity to go on, but I didn't want to go on. I wanted to work. So I started working at Aetna, I think Aetna Insurance Company. Actually, when I first went, I went for Secretary of Science. I never finished that degree. Went back in 81 to be a registered nurse. After working, I worked at Aetna Insurance Company for, and in the meantime, I had taken the civil service exam. So I started at the state hospital in 78 as an aide. So I worked as an aide for 5 years, and I went to nursing school like into my third year of being an aide. But I
Okay.
had to get serious, so I went back to college. I wasn't serious um, for academically. I wasn't serious enough the first time.
So you
So
okay? So you just you were more sport oriented,
yeah,
and then you decide, okay, I want to have a job. I
right.
want to work. So
Yes,
what made you choose nursing?
because I'm a compassionate person. I care. I care. An aid. I could tell. I've always cared about people, love people. And I saw the other nurses working around me, and I was an aide, and I'm thinking, they did this, I can do this too. So after being there 3 years, I went back. I went to nursing school because I like people. I like helping people. I like doing things for people, and I thought it would be a good fit for me. Now, my mom had told me to do that, to go for nursing in the beginning, but it's like I don't want to be a nurse. I want to be a secretary. So I worked at Aetna for, there was not that much money in it.
So so
To be
so
honest.
you wanted to be a secretary. Your mother wanted you to be a nurse. Is that what it was?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So why did you want to be a secretary as opposed to a nurse? What was it? Just to be at the desk?
Yeah, it's that. And I like the way they dress. You dress up as a secretary and, that kind of
Okay.
stuff. I like that. Yeah.
Okay. So you like the executive approach to attire.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
But
All right.
young.
And then the nursing thing is scrubs and all that kind of stuff, right?
Right. Right. But once I got into the state hospital and saw, all of that and the compassion and the love and just I just felt that I could be a nurse, and I felt that I could be a good one. So I went back.
Okay. All right. All right. So you thought you could be a nurse and you could be a good one.
Yes.
And I have no doubt that you were a good one. I had no doubt that you were a good one. All right. So the nursing choice was first what's the word I want to use? Suggested or by your mom. That
Right.
was were her preference,
Yes.
and you eventually decided to say, okay, I think she's right. I'll go after that.
Yeah.
And then because of that, you have to go back to college because you need to get more credits or more or
Exactly.
pursue
Yeah,
an.
because I wasn't aid. I had to get a license. Right. I had to be
Okay,
licensed. So I
okay,
went back to school. Yeah.
all right, all right. So now we know that you became a nurse and you started working. What was your first job like as becoming a nurse? What was your first job like?
It wasn't bad. I stayed at the same facility, so I worked med surge. Um, which and I was young then. I was 21 when I started at state. I was 21. So I've been a nurse a long time, but it was hectic. We when we started there, they had the medical surgical unit is where I started. They had the adult psychiatric units below, but I worked med surge. I worked with the older population, so we did IVs, we made up our own piggybacks, we did our own injections, all that kind of stuff. But later on, state outsourced, so patients got really ill, they were sent out to other facilities and not stay at RPC, Rochester Psychiatric Center.
Did you really want to work at the psychiatric center, or is it's where the job was available? Was that a deliberate step, or it was, or what was it? How did you
No, it
get
was
to
a
that job?
deliberate step. Yeah, it was a deliberate step. I could have moved on, but I liked it there, and I thought that I could help the people that was there, the population. No, I really liked it. I liked psych. The patients responded to me in a good way. They liked me. I worked hard. I did whatever the best I could for them, and I treated them like people. A lot of people think because you're working with psychiatric people, a lot of people don't see them as people. They just see
Mm.
their sickness, their disease, and they don't see that there's a person behind that.
That's very interesting because, and I still want to ask the question again in the sense that that population,
Mhm.
I would think a lot of people avoid that population.
Right. A lot of people say,
It,
God bless you, God bless you, God bless you. I can't do
exactly, exactly. They avoid that population,
it.
and if they have a
Yeah.
choice, that would not be their choice.
Right.
But for
Right.
some reason, you wanted to go to the psychiatric area to be a nurse because you what drew you, or what created a deeper sense of compassion that you want to care for that population that maybe there's a stigma attached to.
Right. I felt like I could tell that I got along well with them, whether the older people or the younger adults, because we're all in the same building. There was 13 floors, so you interacted with other folks and you saw the patients throughout the building. So they responded well to me, and I felt like you know um, that I was helpful, and it felt comfortable to me. I mean, there were some struggles. I've been in wrestling. We restrained a lot of people. A lot of stuff went on during that in that length of time, but I still liked what I was doing. I wouldn't trade it in for anything. I grew up there. I tell people I grew up there,
So
and
you so
some of
you
the
grew up in
yeah,
that organization, and that's where
right,
you spend all your nursing career.
right, yeah. After I
That
left state, I worked at a nursing home and some other facilities, but that's where I spent most of my nursing career. Yeah.
that is incredible. I normally ask people because that, as you said, the time you have to restrain and stuff like that. If I would ask you, if you can recall, what would you say was one of your worst experiences, something that stains your mind during your career time at the psychiatric center?
A couple of things. One thing that was and it touches me every time I think about it, was patient abuse. Was one thing that some people would not report, and I stood against that, and I went against that on 3 different occasions. I had to report someone, and it was tough, but not tough. I knew that I had to do it because, like I tell them, I didn't go to school to beat on patients, and you're not going to beat on them while I'm here. But to actually work with people with that mindset. And I remember on one unit, none of this spoke to me because they knew I had turned this person in, and they didn't like that. But I could handle myself. I didn't worry about it. It bothered me because you want to be liked, you want to be talked to, but not in the sense, not to the point where I will let that kind of abuse continue.
Mm-hmm. So how did that end after you reporting on somebody? How did that end?
Well, one of them, this one person, he still stayed there for a while, but he eventually got fired because more people started reporting him. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, this person was seeing one of the nurse administrator that was over me at the time. So that was a journey. She pencil whipped me because of it. But it turned out eventually he got fired, and there was a couple of other people that got fired as a result of it. Yeah, but those was tough decisions. And then one time I got my hand broken restraining one of my favorite patients.
How did that happen? How did that happen?
Well, he, although one of the staff, actually one staff set him off. He was delusional, one of the patients. Mm-hmm. And the staff wasn't responding to him right, because some people, they want to talk to you when they're delusional, they're sick. You don't talk to them the same way. They get upset when they say certain things. But anyway, she set the patient off, and me and another guy had to eventually restrain this patient. There was no one else there. This guy, he knocked this guy out on his back. So I went around to get him so that he wouldn't go after this guy and come towards me. So he came towards me, punched me in the face. And I stood my ground. By that time, this person got up and we subdued him. Then in the meantime, you call a Camelot and for more staff to come. Every staff that is available come once you call a Camelot, but they have to get there. So we had to subdue him. And then in that process, I got my hand broken. He got his hand broken too. And he went out on disability permanently, but I was able to continue to work.
So your partner, both of you were trying to restrain, both you had your hands broken?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And a lot of people, once a patient attacked them or they have an altercation with a patient, they refuse to go back and work on that same unit. But I went back to the same unit once I recovered and worked with that same patient, because he was sick. He was something he did maliciously. So I wouldn't hold it against him. No. But not everybody would do that.
Kudos to you. I must say, you are tough. You are brave. I can see that you are tough. I can see that. I can see that you're tough. I mean, when I say tough, I mean not in the way of being mean or unkind.
Right.
But to say not easily detoured or derailed or intimidated. Because as you said, normally, and I know that to be true, people get hurt in one department, especially like that, they would not want to go back there. They want to go so-called maybe to what they consider might be safer than that place. Because the psychological effect on that might say, okay, I can't perform here because the psyche is affecting me. Just memories don't leave. Like, oh, exactly. All right. So you went back there, and how long after that? How long did you stay after you gone back? How long? What time in your career was that?
That was a while. I had a while to go. I think that was 2002. I think that was 2002. Yeah, it was 2002. So I left in 2012.
Okay, so you actually had 10 more years there.
Right. Yeah.
2012. It's been a while. It's been a while since you retired, Flo. It's been a while, and you still look like you should be going to your work. And you look like you still look like you should be going to your job. Who would have thought that a lady looking like you say, "Oh, I've retired for so long ago." My friends, I'm talking to Flo Stalling. We just
Mhm.
call her Flo, Florence Stallings, and
Mhm.
she has an interesting story that we're gonna talk about later on. Her own health issues that you're gonna want to be here for that. So it's a good time now to invite your friends to join us because uh, now I know she'll have to tell me how she handled that the way she did. So because it's fascinating. So fascinating is
Mhm.
a good word. I
Yeah.
don't know, but very interesting, may I say? All right, you spend all your career there. Now you get to the point of retirement,
Mhm.
and what next? So how did Flo feel? Like, okay, I'm retiring now. How many years? How many years you did nursing for?
I was there. The state they calculated 34.17 of a year. But I before I left there, I became a nurse administrator. So I was an aide. Then went to a nurse one to nurse two. To I taught in education and training for about 4 years, and then I became a nurse administrator the last 3 years of my career. And usually, when you're like the nurse administrator, the staff become your patients. You know,
Right.
so you're over a lot of you're still interacting with the patients, but then you're more involved with the staff and what's going on and policies and that type of
Yeah.
thing. So, yeah.
Right. Wow. So you actually just climbed the ladder all the way. So having so invested in the system, what was it like when you decided? So, okay, how did you? Is that um, reaching the place where you need to retire, or is it a decision? Say, okay, I've had enough. How did that come about?
I was burned out. When I turned 55, it's like I'm out of here. It's a stressful job. It's really a stressful job. I mean, I liked it, but I think it was time to go. The policies was changing, people were changing things. A lot of people was getting more lax. A lot of things happening. It was very stressful. So I said at 55, I'm leaving. And
Okay.
that's what I chose to do. But after that, I worked at a nursing home. I worked with autism patients at a group home, um, things like that. A couple of jobs I've had since that time. And actually, I went back there for 10 months in 2019 to
Really?
help out. They were so short. So, yeah,
Wow.
went back
Wow.
to the state. Yeah.
So your MO is definitely disabilities. That's where you think you're most impactful by
Right.
helping the okay, that is. You know what? I God is so awesome that He just makes us, our creators, our develop us into becoming one thing or the other thing, and what suits and fits one and what one likes and the other doesn't like. It's amazing
Right.
that God designed it, that our psyche, our emotions, our connectability, our
Yeah.
passion is so different that nobody is left behind. And sometimes you
And,
wonder why under God heaven would somebody really want to choose this career
right.
path. But that's amazing, and the differences between human beings.
Yeah. Yeah. God gave me the grace to handle that job because just knowing what to say to different patients, how to respond to them, and the patients know, they know who care and who doesn't,
And my wife,
and
my wife, my wife said that too, because she
yeah,
knows when, as you just said, they know when you care about them.
yeah, they know exactly.
Yeah.
And to have them respond to you, I mean, I've broken up fights between two men by myself because they listened to me. You know what I mean? They
Hmm.
respected me enough, to listen and to stop. It's you get a reward too when you see them improve. Some people you thought that would never get out of the psychiatric center that are out now, and you see that you made a difference in their lives. So
As you said that, it's a good question I want to ask. Have you ever run into somebody who you knew that was in the center and
mhm.
came out and now their life is normal. Are you ever run into anybody and they knew who you were?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, definitely. Everybody, people gonna remember. You're gonna remember the person that treated you bad too, but you're gonna also remember that person that treated you really well. I've seen people in the store. I've seen people. They come up and say, "This is the best nurse ever." You're out, and people looking around. Because some of them are still kind of wired up. Some of them are still a mess. So some people are trying to sidestep them. It's like,
So okay, so there is something ingrained in the head. They say, oh, that's a patient. So some people
yeah,
can get them past their past.
right.
Wow, that must be rewarding. That must be rewarding, even though you might not want the public display, but that must be rewarding when you see somebody out, and the Bible said they found this man that was possessed with demon. The next day they found
Mhm.
him at the family table, and he was clothed in his right mind.
Right, right.
That must be
Yes,
really really fascinating and rewarding, and
yes.
and the force to say keep on doing what you're doing, because these are the reasons why you do what you do.
Right. Yeah. No, it is very rewarding. And to see, because a lot of people are afraid of psychiatric patients because they think they're violent, but they're not all violent. That's the stigma that goes along with mental illness. People, they misjudge the mentally ill.
Yeah, I
You can be
know, I
mentally
know.
ill and competent. You can be mentally ill and not competent.
Right, right. I remember when I was doing my internship up in our Strongs up there, and they when my
Mhm.
time as a chaplain to go to the psych ward, because we have to go to the psych ward sometimes. Sometimes you just stay alert, stay aware, and
Right.
be aware of the possibilities, but at the same time you don't treat one person as if they are not normal. You try to get the best out of them.
Exactly. Exactly.
All right, I'm
You know
talking
that.
to Flo. I'm talking to Flo Stalling
Mhm.
Johnson's live from Rochester, a friend of mine. Now that I've known a long time ago. Now I remember Flo. I don't remember what I know. I know we got to know you via your friend Prudence, who was connected to the church, and
Yeah.
and I remember. I remember. Tell me about you becoming a Christian. Tell me about the becoming a Christian part of your life, because that must have been an interesting one. At what point in your life did Flo say, "I want to become a Christian"? What triggered that?
Well, I've been wanting to be a Christian for a long time. I just couldn't do it. I think because I was trying to do it myself. I didn't understand how to be a Christian. Even when I was out partying and doing things I shouldn't have, I still I knew there was a God and I wanted that God, but I was so addicted to what in the areas that I were. I mean, going out partying, drinking, smoking, and whatever. Um, I couldn't stop it, but I was praying to stop for God to help me to stop. But it didn't happen. But eventually, I just got more and more into the Bible and wanted to know God more, and I wanted to change my life. And God just broke the addictions off just like that. No side effects, no nothing, no withdrawals, no nothing. He just God is good.
You know
So
what?
I
As
just
you
I wanted more of
as,
God, and I had to go after God. Is what I had to
as
do.
as you as you say that, and as you laugh, I remember how many times that I had conversation with Flo. I remember how many times, how many questions Flo had, how many times I
Yeah,
tried to guide Flo into becoming a Christian, and how many times
yeah,
I felt she was at the point of becoming, and then it didn't
yeah.
happen. Okay, so tell me about the transition now. Tell me about the moment when you say, okay, okay, okay.
But I always prayed. They said God don't hear the prayer unless it's a prayer of salvation. They said God don't hear the prayer of sinners. I remember when somebody told me that one time, I got really upset. But I read it. I think it's in the book of Matthew, and I read about it. But it made me mad. But I would still pray and pray and pray because it's like I was into something that I didn't really want to be in, but I didn't know how to get out of it. And just with the continued prayer and trying to get to know God better, God just started delivering me from things. And being submissive, had to submit to God, you know, um, and try to let him. I think I was trying to get him to love me. I didn't feel tell me how much God loved me and this and that, but I didn't feel that because I didn't feel I was lovable or doing things that God liked. So I didn't, realize all of that and understand the Bible like I do now. And I look back on the things that you were telling me, and I see that it is so true. I remember one time you were telling me how Paul learned to be content in every situation. I'm like, what is he crazy? Because it's like, no, in every situation, how do you do that? But I look back on those things and I see where, you were steering me in the right direction. I just, I wasn't ready, but I know those things now and I remember those things.
You know what?
You were
it is so
trying hard.
interesting. Huh?
You were trying hard. You
Believe me, I know I tried hard. And my friends,
yeah,
I'm talking to Florence Stallings up from my a friend, somebody I know a long time ago up in Rochester, New York, when we were passing up there. My wife and I got to know her. Beautiful lady. Um, she used to make her contributions, even though she was still on the
right,
sideline trying. It's amazing. But what I want to say, Flo, is that we can never know. And I know God doesn't tell people to come tomorrow. He's always today. If you hear my voice, there's no promise for next week, go and come back. That God never did that to any, Christ never did that to anybody. And so as preachers, we are also aware that the possibilities of one not having another chance is 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 so real that
right,
that is hard to tell somebody, okay, hang in there until you're ready.
right.
But at the same time, the seed that God allows one to sow
Mm-hmm.
into your life, the Bible talks about casting your bread on the water, you find it after many days. and,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm listening to you now. I say, okay, those very things that you used to tell me that didn't make any sense to me,
Right.
those are the things that help to shape your life to where you are now. And now they
Okay.
become your personal experience, not just something that the pastor was kind of saying that it sounds
Right.
weird and stupid, but now it becomes a real experience for you.
Exactly.
Tell
Yeah.
me, tell me now, when Flo decided yes, how did you break away and come to a conclusion, yeah, that this is gonna be it for me now? How did you come to that cul-de-sac
Mm-hmm. Well, I
and
think
say, yeah, I gotta do something?
yeah, it's like I've always known that God, the Holy Spirit was calling me, but like I said, it was just hard to just give in to submit. I didn't know how to because I'm thinking I don't. I've been doing this for a while. I don't know any other way. This is gonna Christianity is boring. Is what I thought, and that's what a lot of people think. And think this is really boring. It's gonna be boring, but the more and not pushed, but the more I read and the more I got to know about God, things my heart started to change. I wanted more of God, and I know that He wasn't pleased with the way I was living, and I didn't want to live that way anymore. So it's just getting tired, sick and tired of being sick and tired. You don't. It's like it's time. It's time. So you got to give it. You got to give it to God because I was trying to do it in my own strength, and I did what a lot of people do today. You want to clean yourself up first, and then go into church. But the Holy Spirit, God will clean you up. That He wants the glory, and I couldn't do it on my own, anyways. I tried that, so I had to
and and
submit.
and and you can say that some more, because that's the misconception, that
Yeah,
people think, I can't come to God because I'm too messed up. My life
right,
is such a wreck. I can't really
right,
come. They think you got to come clean. No, you
exactly,
don't come. You don't come clean. You come so you can be cleaned up, right?
right,
So
right.
right. So what was the most difficult thing for you that you were indulged in, that you liked, that you lived your life doing? What was the most difficult thing for you to let go?
Drinking and smoking because they kind of went hand in hand. I didn't smoke that often, but when I had a drink, I wanted to smoke. So that was the last vice.
What was it, drinking and the smoking, just that it makes it cool, or it's a balance? Which one?
It was a balance, and the thing, cause I knew God was going to deliver me, though. I knew it because I had stopped going out. All these things was just coming into place. And then one night I said, okay, let me see. He's going to deliver me from um, drinking first, because when I drink, I want a cigarette. So he's going to do that first. That's what he's going to do. I just felt that God, he was going to deliver me. But God said, "Oh, okay, you're gonna tell me." God, he delivered me from both of them at the same time. I thought it would be one, but both of them just gone.
So you thought you're gonna have your withdrawal process one at a time.
Right, right.
but instantaneous sanctification, right? Instantaneous
Right.
sanctification. Say, I rid you of them altogether,
Right.
so you walk away from here clean,
Yeah,
no looking back.
that's right. No
And
withdrawal, no nothing.
how long ago? Again, my friend, I'm talking to Florence Stallings, a registered nurse that spent her entire career working with psychiatric people at the Psychiatric Center, and she's just a phenomenal lady who, uh, intelligent, but could be tough, right? Because and especially from my experience trying to bring her into the kingdom of God, that was a challenge. I kind of kept my hope alive. I kept my
Yeah.
hope alive. Every time I talked to Flo, she was good to talk to. She was good to talk to. She was relatable. She was responsive, but boy, she never made the move. And not until I left Rochester, right? Which year did you actually made
But
that big step?
you baptized me before you left. Yes. Except yeah.
Oh well, maybe I forgot something in the process, but okay. So
Yeah.
so so I that give me a little sense of joy. I've done so much. Okay, so that
No, this is
I
I've been
think I,
working with
I
her
think
forever, a long time. You went on and on and on. So it was like,
I think I forgot that one, but I
yeah.
feel vindicated. I feel vindicated now that I got a chance to do that.
Yeah, you
So
did.
thank
Yeah.
God for that.
Yeah.
I remember that even after I left Rochester, that you were still making contact with me, asking questions, still having questions that need answers and stuff like that. And I really appreciated that. And it gave me
Yeah.
joy to know that I could see somebody that I've spent time and labor and energy with coming in fully.
Right. Yeah.
what
Yeah.
your
No.
what your Christian experience has been like. My only disappointment, and we're not going to go that. Let's leave it alone. That now we didn't get to spend all that time together. All right, but what it has been like for you? What the journey has been like for you?
It hasn't been bad. I went I went to the Baptist church for a while, but I changed up. I went to Faith Temple on Elmwood for a while. And last year or year before last, Pastor Mark, one of the pastors, got his own church on in Honeoye. So I followed him. So I've been going to a Pentecostal church, I've learned how to speak in tongues. I didn't know how to do that before. Speak in tongues and just it's been interesting. I've been in the Bible. I'm in the Bible all the time. And if I'm not reading, I'm reading a book, I'm watching it on TV because it's my life. It's my life now. Christ in me, the hope of glory. I need him every day. So I study. I have a YouTube channel where I teach about the Bible. I'm just I need him every day, and I want to spend time with him. And it's like I know God. I don't just read the Bible. I experience God. I've experienced him in the past, so I know he's real. I know he's real.
Hmm.
So and just getting to know him and trying to walk with him, stand not up ahead of him or behind him, but to walk with him and to continue to always believe in his love for me. And then that he's always good no matter what. God is always good.
And with the goodness of God here, but we never talk about you. We didn't talk about your children getting
Uh-huh.
married. Anything in that you want to tell us in that package of life? When did you get married? When did you have your children? What those have been like?
Yeah, no, I have two daughters, two beautiful daughters, beautiful grandchild, beautiful son-in-law. Um, but yeah, one of my daughters is 37. She'll be 38 this year, and one will be 31 this year. One's in New York City, soon to move to New Jersey, and one's in Rochester.
Okay,
So
okay.
yeah,
All
one
right,
granddaughter.
kudos to you. Give a shout out to them for me. Yeah, I hope they as determined as you are, and no nonsense as you are too.
Yeah, they are. They're great kids. Great
Good,
kids.
good. Give them a shout out for me. All right, so okay, we come to a part in your life now where we want to focus a little bit on this experience. Um, your boldness, your bravery, your openness. I must say that I was kind of surprised. I was kind of surprised when I saw your first announcement, your first little TikTok, right? It just
Yeah,
happened that I saw you on TikTok say hello
right.
my friends, hello friends, and then you started to give that story. Tell me, tell me what happened at that point, how that impact your life when you made the discovery that you've been diagnosed with some form of cancer.
Yeah, I remember the date. I thank God that I get my mammograms every year. It was June 29th. Actually, that's my brother's birthday. Was my exam last year, my mammogram, and they I usually wait, but 2 years ago I stopped waiting. I came home. They called me saying we need you to come back um, to get another mammogram. So when I'm going in there, I'm thinking, because I've had the COVID vaccines, I'm thinking my nose are swollen from the COVID vaccine, and the doctor says no, that's not what I'm talking about, Flo. So I went back in me to had another mammogram, then an ultrasound.
Hmm.
So they laying on the table, and you could hear them say, stop here, circle that, and they took a piece there. So, but laying on that bed, I knew I had a peace about me.
Hmm.
I felt in my spirit that I would be okay. I didn't know what was going to happen, but I felt that I was going to be okay. Um, and I felt the peace that day. And the lady was talking to me, oh, what are you going to do today? I said, I'm going walking. I usually walk almost every day. I'm going walking when I leave here. And I did. I walked when I left there, and went home and told some people. I think I told my daughters. I didn't tell everybody at once. I told people at different stages, different people about my diagnosis. But I felt that I was going to be okay. Then you have the follow up with the MRI, which showed that it was 1.4 centimeters. And then the doctor's like, oh, it's this small. It hasn't spread it or anything. Um, it's contained. That was the MRI. But as you go on, you learn that things change. Some
Hmm.
of the information, they don't have all the information right then. So you're learning new things as you go. And things changed, in my treatment, because they told me one thing and I ended up receiving different treatments than I thought that I would have. But one thing I wanted to focus on, I know that sickness and disease is not from God. And that is one thing that helped me in this process, because a lot of people blame God and why this happened to me. I hear some of the people in the treatment area, some of the nurses complaining that people come in here crying, why me? And I mean, they're talking about the people. You're the nurses, you're the caregivers, but you're not like that, they say. I'm like, no, I'm here. This is a fight. I'm in a fight for my life, and I'm fighting. I'm not giving up. I'm not a type of person that gives up. So, you know, I had to was willing to do what I needed to do, what I need to do.
Okay, so I want you to tell me, what triggered, what inspired deep down in your thinking, what motivated you to say, I am going to take this straight to social media, I am going to make it public, and I am going to do a constant update of my steps. How did you find that courage within you? I'm trying to see where was Flo's mind when she said, uh, I'm going to record this. I'm going to, and I'm looking at this. I'm looking at this right here. I'm looking
Uh-huh.
at this right here on your TikTok page. Where this is the first one that you come out with, right? That was the first one that you came out with.
Uh-huh.
What made you say I'm going to go on TikTok? I'm going to tell my friends on TikTok what is happening to me, and I'm going to update them every step of the way. How did you come to that decision?
I um I think sometimes when bad things, uh, when things happen to us that we're diagnosed with sickness and disease or whatever else, I'm trying to look at a way that um, I can make this be helpful. How can I help someone else that may be going through this? Instead, just don't just there's a purpose in pain. So I wanted to have a purpose. I wanted to help some other people as well as helping myself by actually visualize it, by actually verbalizing things. I can actually help myself too. But I wanted to see if there's someone that I can help with my story. By telling my story, maybe I can help someone else and they'll walk this now. And I realized that even people can have the same cancers and they deal with it differently because we all have different upbringings. All have different lives. We all have different family members. Our stories are different. But I'm thinking maybe, God works all things out, for our good for those that love him. So I wanted to do some good, to see some good come out of this for other people.
That is really, really, really interesting. I was kind of, sad. I was kind
Mm-hmm.
of surprised, but I was at the same time I was impressed because
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying, wow, she is bold. She is unlike the average person, because the average person would not do that. They'll
Right.
keep that undercover. I want to play this first TikTok, right? I'm gonna play this first TikTok.
Okay.
Hold a second. I want to play this. Are you discouraged? There's so many things going on in life that can discourage us. The loss, the pain, the grief, the anger, the hatred, all the things that are going on in the world that is discouraging. But God promises to be near to the brokenhearted. He promises to be our source of help, our power, our courage, and our wisdom. So when you're having problems, run to God. Don't run to people. God is our power source. Amen? Run to him. Joshua 1:9 says, be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged. For the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go. These comforting words can apply to all of us as we seek to live our life and to deal with our own unique challenges. But so God is saying, focus on me, not on your problems. Run to me, not to people. I am the one that will help you. I am the one that will strengthen you. I am the one that is there for you. So rely on me. Trust in me. I will give you the comfort that you need to get through. Amen. Are you discouraged? I'm trying to see which the date that you made the announcement. I'm trying to see the date that you made the announcement. I'm not sure. I should have scanned through that to find the one you said I want to join with me. I should have scanned through that. But how has it been for you? And what has been the reaction? I know I followed, and I haven't seen any like new ones recently.
Mhm.
So where are things now? How are things going for you?
Not bad. I was going to do one. I think I stopped after radiation. Things are pretty good. I mean, I went through chemo, radiation. I thought that was the worst part, and that's another story because I was originally told that I would only need radiation, and I ended up needing chemo because there was some of the data that they didn't have at that time. So I've gone through that, and right now I'm on the pills. Um, I've had one medication. I've been in the ED 3 times because of bone pain from different medications. But right
Mm.
now things are pretty good. Yeah, I'm taking some PO pills that I've got to take at least for 5 years.
For
For that.
5 years.
Yeah, yeah. They've tried. You know what? They try to give you whatever you need so that your cancer don't come back. Because some cancers come back, they reoccur. So they try to give you treatments, different treatments, so that they don't come back, or it decreases the percentage of them returning. So
Mhm.
yeah.
How are you feeling?
I feel pretty good. I still, I used to walk almost every day, over 10,000 steps a day. I'm not back there yet, but I'm walking, I'm driving. You know, I'm not where I was, but I'm doing great. Doing great. I feel great. You know.
I listened to you in your little post clips that you've done, and
Mm-hmm.
um and I'm thinking, as you said, I've never heard you ask the question of why. um uh, and sometimes as Christians, that some things should not happen to you if you're a
Mm-hmm.
Christian. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes when things happen to us as Christians, we question, where is
Right.
God in times like these?
Mm-hmm.
It hasn't been decades ago since you have become a Christian, like me. It's been decades since I've been a Christian.
Right.
How have you processed how have you processed that experience with your Christian faith?
Mm-hmm. Well,
If
I
you
have to
understand the
realize
question.
that God. I realize that God is in control, and I have to trust God. And if my mind starts to veer in the negative, I'll say to myself, Flo, do you trust God or not? Do you believe God or not? I don't want to be a Christian that say that I believe this, I read this, I believe it, but there's no action. I don't act on it. We need to act on what we say we believe. So if I believe in God, I trust in God. God is no respecter of person. Things happen to the just, things happen to the unjust. So if I ask God why, then I got to ask God, why does it happen? Things happen to everybody and not just me. So my focus was on staying in God's arms, clinging to God and clinging to love, believing that He loved me and Him, and that knowing that He will see me through this, no matter how hard it may be at times, to realize that He's still there. He's never going to leave me. He said, I'll never leave you nor forsake you. We have to believe what we read. Fear not, for I am with you. Don't be afraid. Don't be dismayed, for I am with you. I am your God. I will strengthen you. I will help you to believe those words, not just say them, to get them in my spirit and believe them by faith, that by Jesus' stripes I am healed. And that God is the God that healeth thee. You know?
How do you apply your faith? And I don't know if it's a redundant question, but how do you
Mm-hmm.
apply your faith? um what does Flo's faith say when for example, things were going this way, you got to go to the ED a number of times because of medication impact or allergic reaction, whatever, to that effect. um in the process of that, how does Flo balance faith with a reality experience? um because I've never been sick in that manner, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
knocking board, God help me, because maybe the time I get sick I might just die. But I've had situations in my life where I had to process things. Give God the benefit of the doubt, trust God, not
Mm-hmm.
losing faith, still know that God is there. How do
Right.
you balance those two things when it looks like things are getting a little bit worse here, but I'm still holding on to my faith? How do you strike the balance between them?
I think it still comes to your faith and what you believe. Do I believe God or I don't? I mean, there's been some things, um, but I just say, God, I know you're with me. I'm not alone. Um, I mean, I remember one time I said, actually, the last time I went to the hospital, it's like, God, where are you? I know you say you're with me, but where are you? I don't feel you, God. Where are you? But just clinging to Him and just reading the Bible every day. That's where I find comfort. Not being around the naysayers. some people don't know what to say to you. They think negative. A lot of people, when they hear the word cancer, they think death. So you've got to be around the right people that will strengthen you and not talk to you or like you're dying and stuff like that. But you've got to know who your support systems are. You got to know who to tell about your diagnosis, because everybody is not for you. Some people want to know your diagnosis to tell someone else. They're not going to be of any help to me or anyone else. So why am I telling you? So I've selected certain people. I haven't told everybody. There's still some people in my family that don't even know. I mean, there's some people I've told that I never heard from them again. But in your life, you kind of know. But my main thing is to trust God, stay in the Word, and believe what the Word of God says. Try to live it to the best of my ability with the Holy Spirit leading me. That's where my comfort comes from, is reading the Bible, staying in the Word. That's
Good,
that's the biggest part for me. It's God.
good, good for you. I am so impressed. I am so impressed with you from the very day that I saw that first TikTok post, and I'm saying,
Mhm.
wow, I was kind of shocked, and concerned, but then I'm saying, boy, she is filled with courage. She's filled with courage, and I could see that you are a fighter. I could see the determination to fight, and I hear you say, purpose in pain, and then you talked about, um, uh, once people hear you're diagnosed, then they all they associate that it was is with death. But
Right.
in that, you're looking for life. You're looking for not death. You're fighting
Exactly.
that. Um, where do flow go now? What's the prognosis in terms of next steps going forward?
Hmm. Right now, I started on a new medication I think Friday will be 2 weeks, I think. I've started on that, and it's just a lot of appointments. I follow up. The medical oncologist is the person that you see of the time now. They do the blood work. And that's one thing I thank God for too. My blood work was always perfect. Some people have to stop treatment because something happened with their blood work, whatever. But mine was, she said, yours is perfect. It never changed. It was great. So I stay in contact with her. I've got a follow up with my first mammogram. You wait 6 months for your first mammogram. Then you still have to have another other appointments with the radiologist, um, oncologist, and then you got your PCP and your GYN. You still see all those people. So right now I'm just taking the medication, hoping things work. You look to see. Hopefully there'll be no side effects. I pray against them. I stand against that. And just right now, follow up with my physicians and staying positive. And one thing this whole thing has taught me too is man, God has worked on my patience, because you can't control nothing. You can't do nothing. You've got to wait out everything. You gotta endure. You can't go ahead or behind or whatever. So patience is a big part for me.
As you talk about patience, I heard about a man that was riding a donkey once, and he wanted to get there, and the donkey was going, so he jumped, he get off the donkey and start to run because because he was losing patience with the donkey. And I can imagine that. Yes, and I know you're a student of the word now that you put your life into studying. So I'm sure you must come across where, the apostle tells us that patience is a virtue, and we should let patience have her perfect work.
Right. Hmm.
It's easy to say, but it's harder to do,
Right.
when you have to face it. Um, but I must say, you're an incredible person. I have a lot of respect for you on your openness about your journey and putting it on the record for the world who want to see it, and you're willing to
Mhm.
come and to have that conversation here. um Mike, I'm thinking of where flow goes from now. I see you have a YouTube. You start up a YouTube thing.
Yeah.
What's the driving force behind that? Do you just want to be a source of inspiration? What is it?
Well, that started before my diagnosis. I started that
Oh.
last February, and I started that during the pandemic because of there were so many people that was fearful and scared and hurt, and including my family. So I knew that my family, some of them would listen to me. So I used to call some of them and pray with them. And then I started a YouTube channel for them and for me, and for anyone else that watched it. But I wanted to be of some help during the pandemic with someone to give people hope and to, talk about fear and not to be fearful and worry and, things like that. Cause so much was going on. I was trying to look for a way to help other people and myself.
Has anybody come to you and say, and I mean, it's not a long time ago, so it's just a year somewhere there, but does anybody come to you and say that, you know what, I need you to help me to, because I'm struggling to deal with this. Tell me how you process it, how you deal with it, so I can at least find a way.
Well, actually, uh, well, a few weeks after I was diagnosed, I called the Breast Coalition of Rochester to talk to them. What they do, they try to hook you up with a person with the same type of cancer, the same journey that you're going on. But unfortunately, I was hooked up with a lady that had only radiation therapy because that's what they told me in the beginning I would have. But after
Hmm.
that, I joined up as a pal. So I've had one call me, and to ask me about my journey and stuff. And you don't give them recommendations. You just listen to their story and tell them about yours. And they make, they don't know how to make decisions or whatever. Like the lady I talked to, she only needed radiation. She didn't need chemo. And then they wanted her to take the pills that they wanted me to take. But she said, well, they said it'll thin my hair, and I don't think I'm going to take it. You know, so I've got to stay non-judgmental, about that. So she's more worried about her hair. I'm like, your hair and life. I'm saying to myself, I wouldn't say that to her. But so I joined up to kind of be a mentor, not to dictate or try to influence the person either way. Is their decision. So
Hmm.
try to be helpful that way. Yeah, but nobody's come up to me personally. I sought out other people that had cancer and asked them questions before this happened. And then everywhere you go, they give you so much information. Books. I've gotten books. I've gotten. This is a great book here, Peace in the Midst of Cancer. It's
Mm.
a great book. But these books I wouldn't read in the beginning because I didn't want to be consumed with my diagnosis. I didn't want it to overtake me. I didn't want to know all that stuff. So I had to wait till
Hmm.
I got to a point where, I could read that stuff and be okay with it because, they talk about people's cancer, people cancer recurring, and, there's a lot of information in there and I didn't want to get bogged
So
down.
you want to get the dark side in your head. You don't want to look at the
Right.
dark side.
Exactly. Yeah.
Wow.
But when
Wow.
I'm ready to deal with it, and I knew when I was ready, I'll do bits and pieces of it, but not in the beginning, because I don't want to hear that. I don't be consumed with the negative. Yeah.
Well, that they say, the positivity is power too, and healing comes to being positive. And I must say this to you, and I've seen people like Magic Johnson. I've seen people like Magic Johnson who had HIV diagnosis, and there are some people when they're diagnosed with something, it becomes a death sentence for them
Right.
psychologically, and
Right.
um,
Right.
and and and, and for some other people, it becomes a source of resistance, or
Right.
a retaliation or a fight back, and saying,
Hmm.
one man says, oh God, I'm gonna die now. Another man say,
Hmm.
well, listen, you're not gonna kill me.
Hmm. Hmm.
And the mindset of that,
Exactly.
oftentimes the result of the
Hmm.
differences in the mindset are
Exactly.
are are, are starch. One man say,
Right.
I'm gonna die now, and he just like swoops. And the next man say, it's gonna be a battle between you and me, and I am gonna be
Exactly.
determined to come out a winner. And sometimes just the psychological response to that helps the body to fight
Exactly.
back.
One of the things that I had to determine in the beginning was that my attitude, my thoughts, and my words had to be a certain way. If I had a negative attitude, I knew it wasn't going to help me at all. So there's no reason, there's no need to think negative, because there's nothing in it that's going to benefit me. I have to watch my words. I want to say what the Bible says about my situation, not what the world says, not what the doctor says. And a lot of times when I'm talking to people, I'll say my diagnosis. I don't say my cancer. I don't own it. It's Satan's. It's not mine. So I don't say my cancer. So I have to
Not
speak the
not
right
not showing
words.
no ownership to it, right? Not,
Yeah, have the right thoughts, and just think good
I,
things.
I hear you. I
Yeah,
hear you. You're not naming it and claiming it.
right. That's right. It ain't mine. Right?
Oh wow, wow. I am if I can use the word proud, but I respect. I am proud of you in terms of how
Thank you.
you have dealt with that in terms of your faith, your determination, your will to fight,
Mhm.
um, your openness, your boldness,
Mhm.
and to bring others into your
Mhm.
space. That was incredible. I hope that in itself was a source of help to you.
Mhm.
Again, the psyche is so powerful. And I think just by putting clips out there and say, okay, my friends, I'm heading now to do this. I'll keep you
Mhm.
updated when this is over. Here's my next
Right.
step. I'll tell you what happened. Uh, that to me gave yourself an assignment.
Yes.
You gave yourself an assignment. That means I am going to be here to keep you updated on what's happening. That
Yeah.
was just incredible. That was just incredible.
Mhm.
I wish for you the very best as you go forward.
Thank you.
I don't know that you could look better than how you look right now.
Well,
And
thank
maybe
you.
maybe something is wrong with my eyes, but I don't know if you could look better. I don't know if you could look better than how you look right now.
No,
I
I'm
think that I
trying.
think
Thank you.
I think that was the very first thing my wife said. Oh, you look lovely. That was the
Oh,
first thing she said of you. You look lovely.
oh,
And
see,
and and for
I didn't see all the things. I didn't see him.
yeah, well, she stopped and said, "Hi, Flo, you look lovely." And I don't know if you can see on my screen there. See where she put right out up there. If you can see that on the screen,
Okay, I
maybe.
see it now. Yeah,
Okay, so that's where the I was posting the chats as they came in, right?
she's
So
on
yeah,
Facebook.
that well, the coming she's on Facebook, and wherever the comments were, if you come on Facebook or YouTube, then they would
Right.
come up right there. So that one is from YouTube. So, but Flo, it is so nice to talk to you.
Thank
I
you.
want to keep you in my prayers as you journey. I'm wishing you the best. I'm glad that I got to know you. I'm glad that you finally surrendered your life to the Lord and you took it real seriously. Because
Yes.
every time that we talked, that I see that boy, she's digging deeper and deeper and deeper, deeper and deeper and deeper. And God bless you. I thought I heard that you were doing some you were planning or thinking of going to seminary or something or
Yeah,
something.
I went to Colgate for 3 years. Their certificate program. Colgate Crozier, Rochester. Colgate Crozier.
Yeah.
Yeah, I went for
Wow.
3 years certificate program, and I also took my life coach. I had just finished my life coach training 2 weeks before I got this diagnosis, so I put that on hold. But yeah,
On hold for
yeah,
a little bit. Okay.
yeah.
Okay. So
But
you actually went to Colgate.
yeah, Christian
Boy,
leadership. Yeah,
you were really serious about this. You know what? The
yeah.
seed that has been sown in your heart was
Yeah.
sown there for a purpose. And although you were trying to fight it off and try to
Hmm.
shake God off, but it's like a fish got hooked in the deep waters and is
Hmm.
running up and down and flapping water and jumping up and down in sea, but he's still hooked.
Yeah, you heard me. Listen, I asked you a lot of questions, Pastor. I was interested. I asked a lot of questions when we were talking. Answer them.
I remember you had a lot of questions, and so
Yeah.
yeah, we're wrapping it up. But tell me, Was it that you really just wanted to know, curious, or you wanted to find a way to back out? What was it?
The questions I was asking.
What were your questions? Were you curious,
Oh,
skeptic? What triggered those questions? Because you
I
had
think
a lot of questions.
I was skeptic. No, I did. I was skeptic. I know, like I said, I know I knew there was a God. There is a God, and I wanted questions because so many. Some of you ask some of the dumbest questions sometimes, because you don't really know about God. But I really wanted to know. But I was so into what I was doing, it was just hard to break that cycle. But I wanted to, I call it straddling, one foot in the church, one in the street. But I really wanted to change. I just didn't know how, So I was trying to get information, um, from you, and you answered every question I had. But I didn't believe a lot of this stuff, like I said before, because I wasn't in doing the things that I know God wanted to do. So yeah, but I wanted, no, I wanted
I
God.
I I am so proud of you, and the joy of my heart was when you finally gave yourself over to the Lord. And now, as I hear from you coming up the process, I know you took it serious to even go into further studies. It tells me
Yeah,
that you were all in,
yeah,
and
and I think,
everything.
right. I think God knows everything that's going to happen. And I think God took care of some things before this even happened. Even like, I will say something as far some of the women when their hair fall out. One lady was saying her hair fell out in the shower and it was devastating to her. But that didn't bother me because 2 years prior to this, I started wearing wigs, because I wanted to take care of my hair, treat it or whatever. But I started wearing wigs, so that part didn't bother me when my hair fell out. Another thing is that my niece started living with me a year before this happened because my children, one is in New York, one has her own place. My niece started living with me, so these things was being lined up. Even my desire to know God better. God knew I was going to need. I needed to, you know what I mean, to
Hmm.
go
Hmm.
through this and experience
Hmm.
this, to
Yeah,
walk the journey.
yeah.
Knowing him is such a great help in this. So he prepared the way. He prepared the way.
That's incredible. That's incredible that he had you dug deep to get a
Mhm.
good understanding and get really connected, because he knew down the road you were gonna need that
Right.
deep connection to
Exactly.
help you to pull yourself through. God bless you. I
Right.
am so happy
Thank
for
you.
you, and
Thank
I
you.
you're looking as good as someone can look in this time and age. I'm not gonna say your age, but at your age and the experience, you're looking at as good
Thank
as
you.
I think you could.
Thank you, Bishop. I sure appreciate having me on here. It's
Kudos
been
to
good.
you. Take care of yourself.
You
Stick
too.
with your spiritual diet, and
Okay.
stick with your medications. Pray over them. Take them. Give God thanks. Use faith with your works, and you're gonna get the
Right.
best result.
Okay. Thank you.
I'm
Appreciate
proud.
you.
I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you. And I'm still
Thank
here.
you. All
I'm
right.
still here.
Thank
I'm still
you.
here. I'm still here. Right?
I'll be in touch.
I'll always be here. I'll always be here, my friend.
Okay.
God bless you. Thank you for
All right.
joining me. Stay right there. I'm gonna sign off from the live, and then we're gonna talk before you go offline, right? So you stay right there,
Okay.
my friends. Thank you for stopping by and talking with and listening to my friend Flo Stallings Johnson's
Mhm.
story. She has been a registered nurse for many, 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 many years, and she chose to work with the psychiatric department because that's where her passion was, to work with those who were stigmatized and those who were feared by many. But that's where God placed her, and that's where she spent her entire career, if I should say, working with those people. And then in the end of it, after she retired, that's a year and change ago, she had been diagnosed with cancer, and she has been so open and so positive and so full of faith and believing that God's going to pull her through. If you haven't heard all of her story, once we sign off, you can listen to the story. hit your share button. You can still share it after we finish. Share it on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. Somebody just need to hear a word of encouragement from somebody who has the
Mhm.
experience. Until next time, I hope you'll join me again on Let's Talk with the Doc. May God bless you. I trust that God continue to give you covering and give you protection. And if you have a great story, chances are you could be one of my guests the next time. All right, be an inspiration. God bless you. Follow me on TikTok. Hey, I'm on TikTok. Follow ORB Ministries on TikTok. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. Follow me on Facebook and also on Twitter. Something is always happening. Until next time, peace. Stay strong.
All right. Bye bye.
Well, thank you for checking in on ORB Ministries. I trust that you will share with your friends, subscribe, hit the bell for notification, and stay tuned because you never know what's next or who will join the conversation.